talk about USA basketball. Did a video yesterday afternoon late that Caitlin Clark is among a number of participants that's headed to the senior training camp for Team USA. Now, I would assume, right? Oh, they've learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during...
I mean, you would think. Yes, they have undoubtedly learned a lot from their failure to include Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the Man. This incident simply blew up the league, shattering any notion that things were improving. A new image appears just when everyone was rejoicing about Clark's invitation to the senior training camp. IT was meant to be a greeting from Team USA, but the person who fans were hoping to see wasn't there. It felt like a purposeful slap in the face for the most significant player in women's basketball to change the course of the game. A public benching that sparked a huge uproar and infuriated fans. This wasn't only an error. The message was loud and clear, and the authorities were completely silent. It was utterly deafening.
Now, I would assume, right? Oh, they've learned all kinds of lessons after failing to put Caitlin Clark on Team USA during the Olympics. By the way, of which the guy that runs the 2028 Olympics, he come out and said he thought it was a terrible idea leaving her off the team. Adam Silver said, hey, I think this was an opportunity that they could have had to have grown women's sports. Something that I and many other Caitlin Clark fans also said. Do you want to grow the sport? Do you want to...
Look, this is not the first time it has occurred. It still hurts to think about that entire Olympic roster debacle. Even though there was a huge public uproar at the time, Clark was somehow left off the team. Many believed, which now seems somewhat absurd, that USA basketball had truly learned its lesson from that grave error. However, we are witnessing yet another utterly perplexing choice that pushes the development of women's sports to the back burner. Now, the pattern is very clear. Instead of viewing Caitlin Clark's enormous popularity as a fantastic opportunity, they regard it as some sort of issue. It is a major strategic error that is confusing everyone and severely hurting the sport.
Something that I and many other Caitlin Clark fans also said. Do you want to grow the sport? Do you want to... I said NBC should have been furious that she was not on the Olympic team. They would have shattered... They might have shattered potentially basketball, actual Olympic basketball records, maybe outside of the old Dream Team kind of records, right? Back when television ratings in general were just higher because there was no streaming services, yada, yada, yada. But you get my point. Did have been
The biggest figures in sports were criticizing the initial Olympic rejection. We are discussing the head of the 2028 Olympics, a man whose sole responsibility is to engage people worldwide. And he openly declared that it was a bad idea to exclude Clark. Then there was Adam Silver, the NBA commissioner, who made the same statement. He was aware that it was a major lost opportunity to significantly advance women's basketball. You know, they aren't just some lighthearted remarks. These are harsh accusations from the highest echelons of the sports industry, and they reveal a significant gap in the decision-making process of American basketball. The leadership made a very clear message, but they chose to reject it. Very high grade.
Instead, they continue to treat Caitlin Clark like she's a leper. What are we doing? What are we doing? The WNBA, Team USA, I don't understand. And when I did my video last night, I had not seen this. Shit, I got up this morning and I seen it now. And we'll get to the reaction. By the way, heads up, Christine Brennan's the one that really caught my eye on this. And, you know...
Just try to picture how angry NBC must have been. Or, at the very least, how irritated they ought to have been. The TV ratings would have completely broken records if Clark had been a member of that Olympic team. Considering how people watch media these days, we could have been discussing numbers that were on par with the fabled Dream Team. Rather, that wonderful chance was utterly squandered. It was simply left on the table with all the potential for great ratings. It was more than just a victory for women's basketball. For the broadcasters, it was a ratings jackpot. A significant cultural and economical opportunity that was purposefully wasted. Millions of dollars and exposure could have been lost as a result of this extremely foolish decision.
And added the photo of one other player to this graphic, but no. I'm going to keep it real. She's the only player I'd have put on that graphic. The only player. I mean, at some point, women's basketball has got to quit worrying about hurting people's little feelings. Siri, do you want to grow or do you not want to grow? I mean, you put Kaylee Copper, okay, Kelsey Plum, and I'm guessing this is probably Chelsea Gray, right?
Christine Brennan, a well-known sports journalist, recently posted something that truly infuriated the fans. She made a point that was both straightforward and extremely potent. It goes without saying that USA Basketball would have featured Caitlin Clark prominently on their advertising images if they really wanted to promote the sport and attract new fans. Her criticism, which went viral, was straightforward but brutal. It garnered more than 250,000 views and made USA Basketball extremely defensive. It was just this unmistakable evidence that the public could see right through the organization's feeble attempts to engage people, demonstrating a stark discrepancy between what they say their objective is and what they actually accomplish more than Caitlin Clark. The image itself was quite telling, as I recall. Although it included other really gifted players like Chelsea Gray and Kelsey Plum, it was clear who was absent.
Caitlin Clark. And I paid attention then long enough to throw up in a bucket. I mean, this is nuts. USA women's basketball is back. 18 athletes will attend December 12th through the 14th, Durham, North Carolina. By the way, you want to know one reason why the ratings were down for the last Olympics on women's basketball? People boycotted it because Caitlin Clark wasn't named to the team.
The one individual who has unquestionably come to represent the entire sport has vanished. The sentiment was evident on social media. "Who are these players again?" was one of the comments made. Now, denigrating the other athletes is not the point of this. It is about genuinely recognizing a worldwide phenomenon. USA Basketball appears committed to putting its own internal politics ahead of common sense, as evidenced by its refusal to promote their most well-known and marketable athlete. It is an utterly perplexing tactic that deliberately undermines the objectives they purport to have. They should have anticipated this since, as you can see, the initial Olympic snub had serious repercussions. In fact, many spectators abstained from the women's basketball game. It is indisputable that Clark's exclusion caused the viewership for those tournaments to drastically decline.
People boycotted it because Caitlin Clark wasn't named to the team. I remember. That was a huge story on this channel. A huge story. So, a lot of people noticed Christine's post. It got over 250,000 views. And it looks to me like that USA Basketball chose to leave the conversation.
Online complaints weren't limited to a small number of people. It was a quantifiable collaborative effort from a fervent fan base. It appears that USA Basketball purposefully disregarded the statistics, even though the message was made quite plain at the time. The possibility of alienating even more fans and witnessing a decline in watching numbers is now extremely probable due to this most recent occurrence. It appears like they are adamant about doing the same mistakes again, regardless of the consequences. It's not only you who feels that way. USA Basketball began to covertly remove its own social media posts with that contentious image once the public outcry became so strong. The primary post is still there, but the tremendous amount of criticism and bad comments are completely destroying it. Even though it isn't a complete apology, this brief retreat says a lot. It demonstrates that they are aware of the impending major storm and are frantically attempting to keep the narrative under control. However, in today's era of fast knowledge, such actions only deepen the hole and make the initial snub appear even worse.
To grow women's basketball at the 2024 Olympics, this is a continuing story. They learned nothing. They learned nothing. They are still fighting the CC motion with everything they have. Did I watch the last Olympics without CC? Nope. Will I watch this team with CC? Yes. I'm not the only one. You're not the only one.
A group like USA Basketball has had two goals for decades: gain medals and advance the sport. However, they have utterly failed at the second aspect of their job by continuously moving their brightest star to the side. Yes, they are winning medals, but doing so comes at the price of expanding their fan base and ensuring the future of sports. It seems like USA Basketball is still fighting the Caitlin Clark movement with all of its might, steadfastly refusing to accept the one athlete who has unquestionably revolutionized the sport. People even cite past choices, such as Diana Taurasi's inclusion on an Olympic team only to sit on the bench, as evidence that they favor well-known brands over up-and-coming, audience-driven talent. Additionally, the criticism becomes unsettling when some people imply that Clark is subject to a double standard by whispering that she doesn't check the correct boxes. Whether it is the case, the impression on its own is extremely harmful. In the end, Caitlin Clark is the world's most successful women's basketball player. It would be self-destructive to disregard her appeal. People in the league seem to find it intolerable that she is the primary draw for spectators. Some even speculate that the new coach may be envious of her achievements. The information is truthful. Following the initial Olympic rejection, Fever Games viewership fell by more than half. It is not a marketing decision to omit the world's most popular female athlete from a promotional poster. It's a disastrous mistake. All it does is make you wonder, what are we doing here? Despite the obvious path to success, they appear to be purposefully making mistakes. The message must be unambiguous. The world will blow up if Caitlin Clark is left off the final roster once more. It will demonstrate that they have not learned anything, and the harm to women's basketball may be irreversible.